Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trek Canon. Here we go again, right? So, I decided to make this video in between episodes because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and of course, it was about Star Trek and kind of where Star Trek Picard was going with the whole plot. And we got into the subject of what civilization or what species it could have been that left a message. Okay, now we both are pretty good with our Trek canon and the history of Trek. So we decided to kind of dive into it, and I decided to make a video because it's kind of see what you guys' thoughts were, and see if we could kind of be on the right track and see if we could figure out and narrow down what species it was that brought eight suns together and placed a planet in the middle with a warning. So let's go back over our Trek canon. All right, so let's think about it. Now, if you think about what's been going on in the Star Trek Picard series, the things that they've been saying, the kind of the little hints and things that they've been dropping, then we could kind of narrow down with almost pretty good accuracy what the species was that did this. So before I go into that, I wanted to cover some of the runner-ups that we had kind of thought of was. So the first thing that my friend said was the Iconians. Shot that down instantly. It could not be the Iconians. All right, now let me tell you why. There is nothing in Star Trek canon. All right. Now I don't know about the Star Trek Online video game. My son plays that, but I deal solely with the series, the movies, and the animated series. Okay, so I could go into the book parts because I've read a lot of the Star Trek books, but I wanted to stay strictly with the televised and theatrical canon. Okay, so the Iconians. Nothing in Star Trek canon historically would suggest that the Iconians, one, had androids, okay, two, had the capabilities of moving stars, okay, and three, the timeline might be right, but they weren't the only advanced species at that time, okay, so let's eliminate them. So how about the progenitors? Well, the progenitors in canon never mentioned AI. And if they had left a warning like that for the planets, they would have also left a warning inside the DNA, just like they did with the puzzle. Okay, so it couldn't have been a progenitors. Plus, the progenitors were far further back than 200,000 years. Okay, so then we got to the people who made the Dyson sphere. Okay, the Dyson sphere people, we never really met them. They never really talked about whether or not they had synthetic life or anything like that. But I would have to assume working around a sun, you would probably need some type of synthetic life or expendable life or something like that. But since there was never, and they do have the capability of moving suns, because if you can encase a sun, I'm pretty sure the next step would be moving suns. All right, but there's not too much to support that they were the ones who did it, the people who built the Dyson sphere. Okay, so I was thinking, and I was thinking. I was like, man, it had to have been somebody who had androids. Had to have been somebody who were eliminated by their androids, and it had to be somebody who existed around that time. To my knowledge, it's only two planets that fit that description, and they're both from the original series. The first one, like I said in the last video, was from the episode I Mud. But if you really think about it, those androids were pretty basic. Their AI was pretty basic. Okay, so I wouldn't really see them. Basically, they weren't on Dodge's or Data's level. All right, so they were pretty basic. So I'm gonna set those guys aside. But in an episode, I believe it was called What are little girls made of from the original series? So let's talk about that episode. So in that episode, for those of you who probably don't follow the original series and have not or don't remember that episode, the gist of it is this: Nurse Chapel, basically, the Enterprise basically gets communication from Dr. Kirby, which is an old flame of Nurse Chapel's. Kirk and Nurse Chapel beam down to this planet. The planet used to have a civilization on it that was long since uh, uh, gone. They died a long time ago. But this planet had advanced android making equipment. All right. And the android, and there was only one android that was left from that time period. And he had lived so long that he had forgot his origins, where he had came from, and all of that. And I think his name was Ruck, or something like that, Rock, whatever. But by the end of the episode, in dealing with Kirk, because Kirk is awesome with androids. He could talk a computer or an android or a robot into self-destructing. But in talking with Ruck, Ruck realized he got his memory back, and he realized that, hey, basically, the old ones is what they were called. And he was from a civilization from these old ones, and they made these androids, these highly advanced androids. And something happened where these androids turned and destroyed and killed these elders, or these original ones. Okay, they destroyed their masters. And when he regained his memory, he was like, oh yeah, that's what we were supposed to been doing. We were supposed to been going out and destroying everybody. And so if you guys get the time, take a look at in a time period fits right about 200 to 300,000 years ago, or according to him, 2 or 3 eons, I believe it was stated in the episode. But so take a look at that episode. What are little girls made of? All right, and that might fill in some blanks as far as who could be the species that left this warning in Star Trek Picard. So if you guys have any comments or thoughts or any other species or anything that you guys wanted to add, have me discuss about it, please let me know. And as always, thanks for joining. Kapla.